Hey everybody, it's Kneecap here, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to do Mechagon on hard mode. So I'm assuming you probably have done Mechagon on regular mode if you're going to do hard mode, so that way you at least have a general idea of the basic mechanics. If not, I do have a video on how to do just my first run of Mechagon basically, and that's just on regular mode. You can watch that if you're completely clueless, but you probably have run it before if you're trying to do hard mode now. So basically, to do hard mode, what you need to do is you need to start it off, you need to kill each of the first three bosses. So you have the slime guy, the Trog, and the two gnomes. You need to kill them while the aerial unit is overhead. You have probably noticed that before. The fourth boss flies around. If it's overhead, it activates a little bit of a hard mode. Granted, it's called hard mode, and that will then allow the rest of the dungeon to progress in hard mode if you do choose to do that. So what we're doing is we are clearing all the trash before the bosses without the aerial unit above, and that's just for safety precaution. You don't have to do that, but a lot of people say it's just a lot easier to do it that way. What will happen is robots will jump down, or spawn down on you. These are the robots from the aerial unit fight, the fourth boss. That kind of walk towards you and then explode eventually, so you can CC them and whatnot. We actually have two druids, so we have two mass entanglements, which made it extremely easy. Even one druid will make it extremely easy. At this point, I just want to put this in because there's a lot of robots here. But you want to collect those little robots that walk around. There's a shock bot, a grease bot, and a welding bot. Those give you little buffs, and there's enough for everybody to get all three, so you should have 15 total buffs for your party. Again, you don't have to do that, but that just again makes it a little bit easier. So here we are at Gunker. So you see the red stuff spawning over your head. That means you are in hard mode, and you see those robots spawn. And we spawned them back at the back like that, the first set, so that way they could just be mass entangled, and we have a little bit of time before the next set of robots come out. So the fight itself is the same, especially on these first three bosses. You just, except for you have those little robots that come out. That is pretty much the only difference in the fight. So generally, you're going to have probably a pretty geared group doing this. The people are, you're probably going to set a certain item level. Some people do make sure you have the achievement first before they do it. I don't like that as much. If the person is high item level or has some sort of other good achievement that they've done, maybe a Mythic Raider or just a really high Mythic Plus score, they can probably handle this. It's not that hard. We had a really strong group, a really high damage group, which made this extremely easy. And we also had, again, two druids, two mass entanglements, and the robots were just a non-issue for us. So there's Gunker dead. Now we're over at the gnomes. One big thing to always remember here is you're not in any necessarily hurry, so you can wait for all your cooldowns to pop up, and have everything up for each boss. Again, just to make it a little bit easier. It doesn't even matter for the first three, especially if you have a druid, because again, the robots just can't do anything to you when you can mass entangle them constantly. And other than that, there's nothing different on this fight either of any note. You just deal with the normal mechanics, and should be a pretty easy time for you. See the robots spawn there, instantly mass entangled. Just don't walk into them is the only thing. And then I'll show you just a little bit of the Trog as well. Here we are waiting for some of the cooldowns to come out for some of the other players. Mine are already up. We're also waiting for the robots to spawn. There they spawned. And now we'll go into the fight. Again, you see the robots in the fight there. Mass entangled, not moving, and not any issue to us. If you don't have a druid, then you just have to stun them. You have to root them in another way. You just have to deal with them whatever way you possibly can, or you just have to kite them around crazily and deal with it that way. But after we killed the Trog boss here, we'll be able to move to the aerial unit, where we have the first change of mechanics a little bit. So we waited for all of our cooldowns, we waited for heroism, and we're getting ready to pull this boss. And you should see, now if you did this correctly, so you killed the first three bosses with the Aerial unit overhead. Now this should be a Mark II robot instead of a Mark I robot. It just hits a little bit harder, and there's one new mechanic as well during this phase. So we'll show you that when it pops up. We actually are saving cooldowns, which you probably should do, especially if you can probably one phase when the aerial unit is down and vulnerable. If you can do that, if you have good damage, like I would say if each person can do like 30k DPS. You saw on the right there, you'll see it again, a better shot of it, but you saw on the right there the hunter had a yellow debuff over him. That's the new mechanic. You can immunity that, or if you don't have an immunity, you bring that into the group like this. You can see the robots also have a beam between them, so it kind of like closes in on you. So that's again makes root really good there. It also makes you not really be able to kite them either. So you have to do something to increase the time you have. So we kill the robot, and now we need to go up here. I think the difference here is I think you have 55 seconds to charge it. So you have like a minute or so to charge it. I think that's the only difference, is you can't screw around and keep messing up these mechanics. So we already had somebody up there. Luckily, I was one of the last ones, except for the guy who got hit. Actually get stunned as well and just bubble through it. Obviously, you don't need the bubble if I should have just bubbled before that even, but you don't need the bubble if you're trying to one phase it like we are, and we were pretty confident we would, and have had plenty of damage to do so. So there wasn't any timer up or anything showing how much time you have like with DBM, but I do believe it's like 55 seconds, so roughly a minute. So here we are down here, vulnerable to damage, heroism, all of our cooldowns, and we do it with like 5 or 6 seconds to spare, so it was pretty easy, honestly. Again, we had the druids, which made the bot part not even matter. So there we go with aerial unit down. The next boss you'll get to is this battle bots section here. There's actually no new mechanics here, so you don't have to worry about anything. Just do the normal mechanics. If you're going for Hertz Locker, remember that, not to die to anything silly on this fight, because it's not anything different than the normal mode. So now we're going to go to Cujo. You can see my guys over there. They're by a pile of poop. And you just click on that pile of poop to activate Cujo's hard mode. It'll go into an incinerator. Now this is like this is an actual hard mechanic fight, especially if you're a paladin like me. No instant moves like blinks or dashes or anything like that. It's a little bit difficult because you're so slow. You click on the poop, it activates it. There is a way to do stuff with the poop during the fight to remove the debuff from you, which is important if you care to do that. So you click on the poop during the fight. I don't know if you have to bring it to an incinerator, if it just kicks it into the incinerator and removes your debuff. In that case, you would want to position near the poop and then remove the debuff as you were going to run behind the crate. I don't know exactly how it works, because we just chose not to mess with it. I guess it was something people didn't know how to do before, and then they figured it out. No one in my group knew how to do it, so we just didn't mess with it at all. But that is an option for you to try, or to specifically look up of how to do the poop during the fight. So we actually accidentally, you can see we kind of took a little break there before this pull. Our hunter was not back yet, which was not good because he didn't get heroism at all. And so the druid hotted him up. At this point, we're still had Hertz Locker possibility. So he hotted him up, he ran out, healed him. Actually wasted my lay on hands on him, which I could have saved for myself to make sure that I, in case I got stuck out. But it all worked out anyways. So eventually the hunter came back, and that's great, but he would have been close to dead by now. So I luckily, look how slowly I'm moving. So luckily I don't get targeted by the first one, so I'm able to keep DPSing a little bit. I should have actually started running before this, but I didn't quite have the timing yet. This was my first time. So some of the other group members had done it before. So this is my first time. So I'm moving very slowly. I pop my bubble. They're able to keep up the druid as he's not making it to the crate in time. And then this time I will actually get the explosive leap on myself there. I should have walked towards the crate more, but I actually make it to this one pretty good timing. This is actually more how you want to do it. So even though I don't get to really do damage here, I am just trying to get to this crate. So again, so I don't die. Even though we have battle reses, you know, we're still going for Hertzlocker, the Vision of Perfection achievement at that point. So now we're just going to try to finish him off. He would have been dead already, again, if we didn't have an AFK at the start, so. Explosive leave, just don't blow up the crate just in case, but we're able to finish him off here. Again, you can mess with the poops on the floor. You could see some of them during that fight there. It does something to take the debuff off you so you can walk. It's probably pretty important, honestly, and it'll be the normal thing, I'm sure, to do once everybody knows how to do it. A lot of people, nobody just knew how to do it the first week, really. The next boss doesn't have any mechanics, new mechanics. It's not hard mode, and this one takes the longest explanation, so this will take quite a bit of time to explain. So you can see a bit of a yellow thing on the floor there. It was a podium that had a button on it. So if you've done everything correctly, there'll be a button. It's very obvious. You click on it, it goes down, and now these skulls are on the side with buttons. This means you've activated hard mode, and there's a few ways to deal with this. You can deal with it whatever way works best for your group, of course. I will say how we dealt with it. So each button area, they're not going to have skulls over them eventually. So we marked them with markers, so we knew where they were. And then each person had the same marker over their head to correspond to that button. So we each had a button we're responsible for. Now, obviously, with range, this is a lot easier because you can kind of always stay near your button at least. For melee, you need to get there a little bit early to make sure that you are ready to go. So I was skull in this case, and then we had 3 ranged on the other buttons, and that's how we handled it. So how the mechanic works, though, is like this. So every 45 seconds, he's going to give you a sequence. If you've done Mechatorque before in Battle of Dazarlor, you will know that the markers that pop over your head. So you have like a screw. There are different colors. There's a red one. There's a purple one, etc., etc. The colors don't matter. It's only the sequence. It's only the order that matters. So, 45 seconds goes by. Sequence. We're all at our button area, and one of those icons is going to pop up somewhere. And so the way we handled it is we called out the number. So let's say we're all at our buttons. I'm at skull, and something pops up immediately there. So I say 1. Then let's say then the next icon pops up at square. They say 2. The next one at diamond, they say 3. The next one at star, they say 4. And you're just saying it as it pops up in front of you. So in that case, it would be skull, square, diamond, star. That's the sequence order. So after they pop up in that order, now all 4 of them are going to have an icon over them. Again, the icons don't matter, only the order. So now I was number 1 at skull. So now I press my button, 1. Square presses their button, says 2. Diamond presses their button, says 3. Star presses their button, says 4. This is just an example of a sequence. It can be in any order at all. That's just an example of what one of the sequences can be. So another way to do it is you could have one person doing all the callouts. Someone very paying attention. You'd want it to be arranged probably, just standing back there. They could be watching it and say, okay, it's skull, diamond, star, square. Okay, and then when you click on it, it goes away. So then that same person, so skull's first. Skull goes and clicks on it. Then he says diamond, and then diamond clicks. Then he says star, star clicks. Then he says square, square clicks. That's just another example of a way you could do it. You could do it whatever way works best for you. That would be the best way to do it if not everyone had a microphone, or if there's just one person who is just really good, the best player in the group. That would be a good way for him to do it and kind of carry the group in that way. So the most important thing here is having voice chat available, or just having a set plan. It doesn't even matter what your plan is. You just have to have a set plan to do the sequence in the correct order. Otherwise, it's just an instant wipe. So we actually did wipe one time. Our hunter unfortunately messed up, and I think he pressed the 2 when he was 3, and he just got a little bit excited, I think. And this was my first time doing it, so I know how hard that can be, especially when the rest of your group had done it. So here's the actual fight. So we'll get into this. So the fight is actually extremely similar. The difference, of course, being the buttons. So at 45 seconds, we'll all start heading over to our buttons. I still actually am during my wings for that, unfortunately, so I don't get to fully DPS there. But as you can see, we get him down pretty good there with that opening gambit. Saving hero for phase 2. That phase is a little bit harder because it's bad enough I had to run that far. So you can see that lit up next to me, the purple icon. He was number 1 in that case, and then I was most likely number 4. I can't see the other two, but because of how lit now, you see everyone has an icon now. And then I was most likely 4 again because you couldn't see. I couldn't see the other two, but because you only have 5 seconds, and that was like 4 or 5 seconds before I could click mine, then it's very likely that I was number 4 in that case. So at this point, we held DPS there. I went really early. We held DPS there because he stuns you when he goes into phase 2. So you don't want to have that happen. So I'm number 1 at that point. And then I think Square was probably number 4. So I click mine. Everyone clicks theirs. Boom. Maybe Square was even number 2. I don't know. But so everyone clicks theirs and we do it successfully. Now we're able to push him into phase 2. And you'll see the stun here. So if that would happen during hard mode, that would be very bad, because now you're stunned for 7 seconds and you have 5 seconds to click the buttons. Not a very good thing to happen there. So holding DPS is probably for the best, unless you're about to kill him and there's still like 30 seconds before hard mode. Now the timer still keeps going during all that, so we have another hard mode right at the beginning of this phase. And after that's when we're going to pop hero. So even though I wasn't there yet, I was number 1. I was very clearly number 1 because, it was already up on my way there. So I click first, and now everyone's going to click in their order. Again, I'm in the voice chat. I would have said 1 there. I would have said 1 when mine popped up first, and then I would have said 1 after I clicked my button. Magneto arm still happens. Do as much damage as you can during hero, but remember to get back to your buttons. That's the most important part. So I'm heading back to my skull. Try to throw a hammer. I'm 1 again. So you still have to dodge the mechanics too. So that makes it a little bit more hard. So I was number 1. Make sure everyone else is pressing their buttons. I could have just went and DPS the boss, but yeah, definitely you have to make sure you do the mechanics while you are pressing the buttons. You might not want to stand right next to your button like I was, because those balls are going to go to a location where a player is. So you might want to stand a little bit offset from the button. So hard mode's actually about to happen right now, but the guy's easy to kill, so we just kill him. Get the achievement, and you are done. So that's it. The last boss is the trickiest one, but overall it's a very easy thing to do once you know what to do. Please subscribe to the channel if this video helped you out at all, found it interesting, or if you just want to help me out, because it helps me out a lot if you subscribe. If you have any questions, although I think I was pretty thorough on this one, feel free to ask those questions. And other than that, everybody have a good one.